It's another episode of the Minding My Temple podcast, the space where life meets balance. And I'm your host, Tasha Temple. Yes, we're back again. And this week, as I promised from the previous episode, we're going to talk all about living a vegan lifestyle. It is the most restrictive eating-based plans there is. And a lot of times it can get really convoluted and it's challenging to follow because a lot of people who are following vegan-based lifestyles are not doing it in a way that's balanced. So I want to give you guys all the information and the correct information about how to follow a vegan-based lifestyle, or just the information so you can choose to see if that's even what you want to do and where you want to go. But let me tell you, the word vegan is really popular, but a lot of people are not quite navigating through that lifestyle in a way that's balanced. And what I mean by balanced is by balancing all the nutrients that your body needs. And so we'll talk all about it today. But first, I'm yelling, I don't know why. We're going to jump into the segment of my podcast that I love called Minding My Business. And that's the segment where I talk about how to honor and the importance of your self-care. Oh, and my self-care, because I'm talking to myself as well. And I think it's just really important for us to be out here minding our business, okay? And it's just very valuable to put yourself at the center of your life, not in a selfish, narcissistic way, but a way that really takes care of you. Because if you don't, your mental health is going to suffer, or your physical health is going to suffer. And when your physical health suffers, your mental health suffers. And when your mental health suffers, your physical health suffers. And then that just takes a toll on the quality of life that we get to have and the lifespan that we get to have. And so it's really important that you start to take some time every day to do something for you. And that specifically is only for you. It doesn't support your kids. It doesn't specifically support your spouse. It doesn't specifically support your boss and your job. All those S's specifically support. Because a lot of times we're doing so much for so many other people that we forget about ourselves. And in my life, I'm the most important person because I am the sole person who's responsible for the outcomes in my life. And so I want to make sure that I'm able to be the best person I am. So I got to give myself some time as well. And so what I'm doing this week to honor my self-care and what I'm doing this week to mind my business is I'm actually taking the time out to spend time with the people that I love the most and my friends and family and the people I care about the most. And that's important for me because specifically that is going to feed my connection. Like I want to have connection with these people. I want to make sure I have authentic relationships with these people. I want to make sure that these people know that I love them and know that I care about them and know that I'm present with them. And it's important for me to build relationship with these people because even though I might have been friends with my friends forever, because y'all, like, my friends are like old school. Like I'm not a no friends person, no new friends person, but a lot of my friends I've had for 20 plus years. And as I've grown, they've grown, and I want to make sure they know that I'm still here to build with them based on the people that we are today. And that's really important for me, is the connection between the people that I love and care about. And so this week I'm making and taking the time to specifically create space, time, opportunity, and memories with the people that I love and care about. So I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm getting outside. We outside. It's springtime, so I'm excited. The weather's starting to break. It's getting warm out. And so, yeah, I have not really been outside in the pandemic like that. And I'm still personally a little uncomfortable being in really crowded spaces. I will be honest that over the pandemic, I took it very, very, very seriously. I'm not a germaphobe, but I definitely am very particular about things. And I got really particular about COVID and the things that I wanted to do to keep myself safe and the people around me safe. And so I was one of those people who double masked it. I wore a face shield. I had hand sanitizer. I had wipes. Like I had everything. And that was just for my safety, just for my own concern, something that made me feel comfortable because I had a lot of anxiety around the pandemic. And so I really haven't been in a lot of very public places, and I'm still kind of nervous about that. So I was excited for the weather to break because it gave me an opportunity to spend time with those people that I love and care about. And we could be outside in a place that also relieves my anxiety and keeps me feeling comfortable, so I can get the connection and I can also get the anxiety reduction being outside with the people that I love and care about. And so, you know, I've done a few things like get out to the flower festival and get out to like the rose festival. And there's a lot of cute little things to do in Atlanta because that's where I live. As the weather has been breaking and I've been kind of researching and looking on Instagram, I specifically love the Secret Atlanta page and just all the little secret things to do. And so I've been just creative about how to spend time that's still fun, that's still interactive, that's still engaging, and it's been successful. And so one thing I would encourage if you're trying to get that level of connection with the people in your life, because that's what I'm up to this week, think outside the box, or actually forget the box. There is no box, right? Like let's get rid of the box and do all the things that we didn't think we could do before, like, you know, hiring somebody to create this picnic experience for you guys in a park or something like that. Or take a shopping day trip, or go to a flower festival, like the flower festival was bomb, by the way. Or go Airbnb a little tiny home. Like there's so many things that I didn't realize were available to me until the pandemic hit. And it made me think about so many other ways to be creative in regards to hanging out with the people that I love. And so I'm getting back to that because the weather is now breaking, and you know, I'm more comfortable hanging out with the people that are around me. And so, yeah, we having kickbacks, we having cookouts. I mean, that's old school, but we doing that. We doing block parties. And so get creative, get around the people that you love and care about. It's time, you guys. It's time for us to start building. It's time for us to start connecting. It's time for us to just start making more memories again. And let's get out here. Let's get outside, because we outside, I'm outside, you outside. Let's do this. Yes, I know. I'm just silly sometimes, just so y'all know. Anyway, we're gonna jump into this vegan-based lifestyle because yeah, it's pretty popular, and it's like you hear all these things about, oh, I'm vegan, I'm this, I'm that, and I'm gonna get real clear about what it is, and you can make a deciding factor on if it's something you want to follow, or if you're somebody who said you're vegan and then you realize after hearing this, I don't know if I'm really following a vegan lifestyle like I thought. So let's just jump into the definition of vegan. So vegan means you're going to exclude all animal products, including meat, dairy, and eggs. So absolutely no animal-based products and no animal-based ingredients in any of your foods. So the main catch to a vegan diet, however, since we are getting rid of all of our animal-based products and all of our animal-based foods, is that we must follow it correctly to balance our health and to get all the necessary vitamins. Because in order to have balance, you have to have all different types of nutrients, all different types of vitamins, and all different types of minerals. And when we eliminate a food category, it does also eliminate a lot of those vitamins and minerals and nutrients. And so we got to make sure that somehow we get those back, and in the right quantities, or in the quantities that will support the balance in our body. So we'll talk about that today. So I will say that 3% of the people that are in the United States are vegan, just 3%, because it is a very restrictive based diet. It is the most restrictive based eating and lifestyle plan, as I mentioned earlier. But there are some benefits and there are some disadvantages, but I want to say this about vegan being most restrictive. If you're interested in, or you're currently following, you'll really need to consider a plan where your nutrients are coming from and meet your daily nutrition requirements. So you're going to have to make a plan, because you're going to have to make sure that you use complementary foods to ensure that you're getting all the daily nutrients you need. So it is going to require some planning and possibly cooking. And I just want to throw that out there before we get started, because you can't just willy-nilly say I'm going to go vegan and not know where to start and not know what to do, because you're not going to get enough nutrients, because you can't get all the nutrients you need from fruits and vegetables unless you're pairing them correctly and you're combining them correctly, because they do complement each other. So you got to make sure you're putting things together in a daily basis to get all the nutrients and needs. So let's talk about the benefits first. Now, the benefits of following a vegan-based lifestyle is that it's rich in nutrients, right? Because you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and those are the most nutrient-dense, rich foods that we have available to us. They are full of vitamins, they're full of minerals, they're full of antioxidants, which I keep telling you guys, you cannot supplement antioxidants. You can only get them from the foods you eat. And so if you're incorporating just vegetables and fruits and things that are natural from the earth, then you're going to get a lot of antioxidants. And so, of course, if you're having a lot of antioxidants, it's going to improve your health in regards to reducing your risk of certain cancers. It's going to lower your risk of certain diseases like heart disease and diabetes. And it's going to increase the amount of real and whole foods that are in your diet. And I'm always talking about, let's eat real food, let's eat whole food. And so following a vegan-based diet, if you're following it correctly, you'll increase the amount of real and whole foods that are in your diet. And it can also contribute to weight loss if you're following it correctly. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I do want to talk about the cancers that can be prevented, or you can reduce the risk of by following your vegan-based diet. So specifically, you can reduce your risk of colorectal cancer by 9 to 18%. Colorectal cancer. You can also reduce your risk of stomach cancer, pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer, mouth cancer, throat cancer, and prostate cancer. It's a lot of cancers, right? And the reason for that is because you're increasing your intake of those vegetables and those fruits and those plant-based items, and those are full of antioxidants. And antioxidants are the things that fight against all the bad stuff that's in our body. And remember, you can't supplement that. And so let's talk a little bit about heart health. So the reason why it improves your heart health or reduces your risk of heart disease and stroke and reduces your risk of diabetes, specifically heart disease and stroke, is because it can reduce your cholesterol. Is directly related to your heart health, and it directly increases your risk of heart attack and stroke. And cholesterol is found in all your animal-based products. So if you eliminate all your animal-based products, of course your cholesterol is going to naturally decrease. So that's going to naturally decrease your risk of heart disease and stroke. Look at that. And so, you know, there's a lot of other benefits, of course, eating mainly plant-based foods. So it can also decrease your pain from arthritis, again, because of those antioxidants. The antioxidants fight against those bad things that enter our body, and antioxidants specifically decrease inflammation, which causes disease, and inflammation, of course, causes increased pain for arthritis. You could also talk about probiotics. So your vegan-based lifestyle can improve your gut health. And remember, your gut health is specific to your immune function. So if I eat more plant-based foods on a vegan-based diet, I can improve my gut health, which can improve my immune function. It can improve my ability to digest and absorb food. And then, of course, it can increase my fiber intake, which fiber intake specifically can reduce your risk of diabetes. So there are a lot of benefits and great things that can come from being on a plant-based, or not a plant-based, but a vegan-based lifestyle, because as I talked to you guys last time, plant-based diets still include a little bit of meat, but vegan has no animal-based products at all whatsoever. Now, your vegan-based lifestyle does involve eating only foods that comprise of plants, so only plant-based foods, and that's it. But being vegan could be a dietary choice or a lifestyle choice, because some people that are living a vegan-based lifestyle also do not do animal-based ingredients, animal-based products, or animal-based parts. So sometimes even your vegan people who are following a vegan-based lifestyle might not wear leather, they might not wear fur. They're completely against the cruelty of animals altogether if it's a lifestyle rather than a dietary choice. So be mindful that I might have different people that are choosing vegan-based lifestyles for different reasons. You have a lot of animal lovers and they do not like to see animals or cruelty against animals and things like that, so they might choose a vegan-based lifestyle for that, or you simply might be doing it as a dietary choice to improve your health. So those are the reasons why, or the reasons or the benefits of a vegan-based lifestyle, okay? Now let's talk about the downside. Or let's go back first, because one of the benefits I talked about was weight loss. Now, the catch is, I said, you have to follow it in the right way, or not even right, but you have to follow it in the correct way. And so a lot of times, vegan-based lifestyles or diet choices includes a lot of junk foods, just in general. So they call them the junk food vegan. So if I'm a junk food vegan, I might not lose weight, because the junk food vegans are eating things like, I'll give you an example, potato chips, Cheetos. Potato chips are made from potatoes, and the other ingredients are salt and oil. None of that is animal-based. And so I can eat potato chips all day and claim to be vegan. But that doesn't mean it's a balanced lifestyle. That doesn't mean it's going to improve my health. French fries are vegan. I can eat them all day long. They're just potatoes in oil with salt on them. And so I got to be careful about which foods I'm choosing when I'm saying that I'm vegan. And you have a lot of package-based options that claim to be vegan-based products because they're not made with animal products, but it doesn't mean that they're made with whole and real foods. Some of this stuff is all man-made, and I can't even tell you what it is. And so if you're getting a vegan-based product, you want to make sure that you are reading the label and that you recognize the words on the packaging, okay? And so if there are a bunch of different words that you don't recognize or that you don't know, or you're like, I don't even know how to spell that, or do those letters even go together to make a word? If you can't recognize what the word is, or you don't see anything that looks familiar to a real food, I'm not so sure I would actually get that either. So you got to be careful about being a junk food vegan or a processed food vegan, because I'm not so sure substituting a real food like fish for a food that has a bunch of ingredients I can't identify and recognize is really going to be a balance-based option, right? Because we want to put things in our body that our bodies recognize so it can break it down so that we can reduce our risk from all different types of diseases and ailments and things like that. And so if you're going to be following a vegan-based lifestyle, I would recommend reading labels and making sure that if you're getting a vegan-based meat, which means it's made from I don't know what, and you don't recognize any of the ingredients, that means we don't know what that is either. So you do want to make sure you incorporate your plant-based foods in a way that you're eating real food still. So don't just go to junk food just because you're vegan, and don't just go to buying meats that you can't recognize just because you're vegan. Let's still stick with real-based food options. Like, you don't want to eat just macaroni and cheese every day, because macaroni and cheese only gives you this amount of nutrients. We want to make sure we have the whole gamut of nutrients, even though we're following this vegan-based lifestyle. Remember that. You can still not be healthy and still not have a balanced plate just because you say you're vegan. Vegan don't mean healthy. Vegan don't mean balanced. Vegan just means I'm eating stuff that ain't animals. And so you got to still make sure you're choosing healthy-based options, and you still got to make sure you're choosing balance-based options, and you still got to make sure you're choosing real foods and whole foods, even though you're following a vegan-based lifestyle. So don't confuse vegan and healthy, y'all, because I can eat potato chips and French fries and macaroni and cheese all day and be vegan, and we all know that's not going to provide us with all the nutrients that we need, okay? So here's the downside of following a vegan-based diet. Now, I don't really want to say downside necessarily, but these are the things that you got to consider and think about when we're talking about vegan, okay? So the challenging things or the challenging nutrients to get are going to be the nutrients found in animal-based products, and they are the following. And so you got to be careful about iron, you have to be careful about calcium, you have to be careful about B12, you have to be careful about vitamin D, omega-3, zinc, iodine, and most importantly, protein. So let's go through them really quickly so I can tell you what each one of those does and give you some options on where you can possibly find those outside of your meat-based products. So let's start with iron. So iron specifically carries oxygen from your lungs to all the parts of your body. So imagine not getting oxygen to your heart, right? You're probably going to feel pretty bad. And so without enough iron, you don't have enough red blood cells to transport the oxygen throughout your body. And so again, iron comes from your animal-based products. And so if you don't have enough oxygen to move through your system, it could lead to fatigue. So a lot of times vegans may substitute iron from an iron-based supplement over the counter, or you can specifically supplement iron with foods like your leafy greens. Okay? And then you have a lot of your grain products that have iron in them as well. So if you're eating things like quinoa or your brown rice and things like that, those will have iron. And you can also use your beans. So beans are a vegan-based product because remember they're plants. And so you can incorporate and add beans into your diet. So you can add kidney beans, black beans, pinto beans, navy beans, white beans. I mean, there's so many different types of beans, you guys, just so you know. Let's talk about calcium for a second. So calcium is responsible for your healthy bones and teeth. And it also plays a role in blood clotting. Blood clotting is important, especially when you get injured, because you want your blood to clot so that you don't bleed out. And calcium's really important in that role. And it helps your muscles contract. So as I'm moving, my muscles are contracting, I'm moving my hand. And so as I move my hand, my muscles contract. Calcium is responsible for that. And it also helps to regulate my heart rhythms because remember, your heart is a muscle, it's contracting, so it helps the rhythm of the heart. And it also helps with nerve function. And so a lot of times you'll find calcium in your dairy or milk-based products. And if you are someone following a vegan-based lifestyle, a lot of your plant-based milks have added calcium to them. And so if you find yourself a really good plant-based milk with calcium added, that's a good way to supplement your calcium. Or if you have some yogurt-based products that are plant-based, a lot of them will have good amounts of calcium in those as well. Or you can take an over-the-counter calcium supplement, and a lot of your leafy greens have calcium. You guys, I'm gonna always talk about leafy greens. Leafy greens are so great for everything, but leafy greens have calcium in them as well. So let's talk about another one that's important that you supplement or make sure you get when you're following a vegan-based lifestyle is B12. People are like, oh, I take my B12, I got more energy. And there's something to that because B12 goes right alongside with iron. And remember, I talked about iron moving blood through the body. And if I don't have a lot of blood moving through my body, I'm gonna feel fatigued. And so of course, if I have optimal B12 levels in my body, I'm gonna feel energized because B12 specifically, if I'm deficient, makes me feel fatigued. And so B12 also helps keeps my blood and my nerve cells healthy. Blood cells are important, nerve cells are important. It also helps make DNA, and it works alongside with the iron, of course, to prevent, iron deficiency. And so iron and B12, think energy and think oxygen moving through my system. If I don't have enough oxygen, I'm gonna feel tired. So think about when you've worked out to the point of max and you're breathing hard and you don't have enough oxygen, you feel tired. That's how people feel when they have low iron and low B12. And so most of the time, B12 is hard to supplement outside of your animal-based products in regards to food, but you can try a B12 over-the-counter supplement, and you can buy that at your local Whole Foods store, all right? Another thing that you want to consider is vitamin D. Vitamin D, most of us need supplementation for because it comes from the sun. It doesn't come from any food for the most part. But vitamin D does protect against cancer and some chronic health conditions. It strengthens my bones, it strengthens my teeth. And so again, if you talk about vitamin D, a lot of times you think about calcium, and I just talked about calcium a minute ago. And so vitamin D and calcium go together. And so a lot of your plant-based, milk-based, or plant milk-based products, let me get it together, that have been created for people that are following vegan-based lifestyles will have vitamin D added to those, so that could be helpful. And I just tell people, if you have low vitamin D, just go outside, get some sunshine. Not only is it gonna make your vitamin D status go up, but it's gonna make you feel good. Being in the sun just makes people happy. So get outside, get in the sun, and don't put on sunscreen for at least 30 minutes while you're outside so you can get the actual UV rays to give you some vitamin D, okay? Now, another thing that could be supplemented or may need to be supplemented on a vegan-based diet would be omega-3. Omega-3 is an animal-based product. It specifically comes from a lot of your fatty fish. And omega-3 is really important for your heart function and your heart health. It is a really protective oil or fat, and it's completely is beneficial for the reduction of the risk of heart disease. And it's also important for your eyes and your brain function, but here's an important place where you can get omega-3s. and they are vegan-based option, and they're walnuts and flaxseed. And so you can always sprinkle almonds or walnuts on top of some oatmeal or some non-dairy based yogurt. And you can always put flaxseed in a smoothie. Just make sure you grind it up really, really well so you can use all of those properties that you're going to get from flaxseed. Now, another one that can be limited when we have a vegan-based lifestyle is zinc, because zinc also comes from your animal-based products. And so zinc is important for our immune health, which is really important these days, especially moving through and living through a pandemic. And it also helps to repair our DNA damage. So we damage our DNA all the time, and zinc can help repair that. A good place to get zinc from are your beans. And so that again is your black beans, your kidney beans, your red beans, your pink beans, your white beans, all of that are good sources of zinc. And iodine is another one, because iodine comes from seafood. And if you are someone who's following a vegan-based lifestyle, that's not a part, because that's an animal. And iodine's important for your thyroid function. And that is responsible for your metabolism, you guys. And so iodine can be found in seaweed, because if you think about iodine, I just told you can get it from seafood. So seaweed is in the sea, so it also has iodine. So you can get little packages of seaweed in your local grocery store, and you can snack on those, and those have iodine. And so those are all your nutrients and vitamins and minerals that could get low when following a vegan-based diet lifestyle. So make sure you make it a point to incorporate foods that have, iron, calcium, B12, vitamin D, omega-3, zinc, and iodine, so that you don't find yourself deficient. Another one that's really important is protein, because again, if we're eating a vegan-based lifestyle full of plant-based products, a lot of your plant-based products don't have the same amounts or levels of protein that your meats do. So I'm going to give you a list of vegan protein sources. If you want to follow a vegan-based lifestyle, make sure you write these down. They're not in the same quantities of meat, however, but if you incorporate them several times throughout the day, you can get a really good intake of protein. So nuts and seeds have small amounts of protein. Remember, a portion is 1/4 cup. So if you're adding nuts and seeds at one sitting, I would say don't go more than 1/4 to 1/2 cup. Your beans are great. So these are your legumes, your beans. So things like black beans, pinto beans, chickpeas, hummus, kidney beans, lentils, peas. All of those are considered your legumes and beans. And 1/2 cup is considered a portion. So I tell people at a meal, try to stay within 1/2 cup to a whole cup of beans. And they have a good source of protein. And they also, remember, they give you good sources of zinc. I also told you that, beans are a great source of fiber. And so just be mindful that you can use beans for a lot of different sources of protein and nutrients that could become deficient if you're following a vegan-based lifestyle. If you wish, you can also try soy-based products or your vegan-based meat. So soy can include tofu, which you can actually flavor tofu to taste like anything. You can do tempeh. You can also try Beyond Meat or Impossible Burgers. And your grains also can serve as a point of protein, and that includes quinoa, brown rice, oats. And so they may not have as much protein as meat, but they still have protein in them as well. And fruits and vegetables also still have protein in them. They just don't have nearly the amount of quantities that will be suffice if you just had fruits and vegetables. But all of your foods are going to have small amounts of protein in them. So as long as you're having a variety of fruits and vegetables with grains and nuts and seeds and legumes and some non-dairy based products, you can follow a vegan-based lifestyle and still meet all your nutrient-based needs, okay? Now, just remember, do not become a junk food vegan, because you're not going to meet all your nutrient needs on a daily basis. But if you have questions or you need further information about how you can specifically incorporate a vegan-based lifestyle in your life, all you got to do is send me an email to ask any question, and you can find me at findbalance@mindingmytemple.com, or you can send me a message on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at mindingmytemple. And this is all the information I have for you about a vegan-based lifestyle today. And this is the Minding My Temple podcast, the space where life meets balance. Peace.